What's up, Fran?
What's up, guys?
Yes, you are a draft expert, but you're also a PHLY guy, so we figured that we would just get a little ahead of the Eagles game here, even though Hogan Johns will have their preview and all that stuff.
We're killing two birds with one stone.
Ding, ding.
Turkey
like
and eagle.
So,
there you go.
although
I mean, we don't have to get into it, but the anti-Thanksgiving take, Brags. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, you don't have to feel anyway. What you have to feel is the pain on Friday.
Well, let's start with in a gambling way here. Shout out to our friends at Bet365. The line is 7, Fran. Do you think that's right?
I was a little surprised when I saw it was that big. I think that there's a few things at play there. I think that certainly with the way that the Eagles offensively have played over the last 3 games since their bye week, does not give a lot of confidence that they would be able to put up more than a touchdown lead on anybody. They jumped out early on Dallas, but this is a team that has had a 3-and-out rate at it's legendary rate, like the most 3-and-outs of any offense in the last decade plus, almost 2 decades now at this point. So this is a team that just goes through stretches of such offensive futility, which you would not expect for the highest paid offense in football. You look at all the investment that they've put into the offensive line, the receiver position, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, all these guys are super high paid. Injuries have played a part. Inconsistencies have played a part. You have new coaching staff, some new coaches there on the staff. So there's, some wiggle room for inconsistency. But to me, what we've seen from this offense certainly has not been up to par. So to Carm, I was surprised that number was as high. Now that said, we know that also the Bears have won a bunch of close games. And so some people look at that a certain kind of way and say all right, well, the Eagles have been the same way. The Eagles have been really good in 1-score games as well. So I was surprised the number was that big.
How did having not really had the opportunity to watch the game with the coverage we were doing with the Bears, how did the Eagles fare without Lane Johnson? That's obviously a big hit for their offensive line.
Yeah, I think when you look at Fred Johnson, he's really big, powerful offensive lineman in terms of his height, weight, speed. He's really tall, he's thick, but he's better in pass protection than he is in the run game. I think that when you look at his struggles with pad level, playing with good leverage, and they felt that in this game. I mean, Saquon Barkley, he had 9 carries. What goes down in the box score is 10 carries, but one of them was a backward screen pass. So it was 9 carries for 20 yards in this game. That was the worst performance in an Eagles uniform. And when go back and you watch those runs, 3 or 4 of them were because Fred Johnson missed a block at the point of attack. And so I think that's an area certainly where they will want some better play out of Fred Johnson. And pass protection, he holds up fairly well. He did get flagged once for an illegal hands to the face. But I think that when you look at him, that they feel that Lane Johnson lost more in the run game, certainly than in the pass game.
All right, well, spill the tea then, because we have been hearing at least I've seen a lot of clips here over the last few weeks, whether it's Deshaun Jackson talking or you've got some people that are real close to the organization kind of speaking out about what they're hearing behind the scenes. Because when you talk about the offensive struggles, it seems to all roads being pointed towards something going on with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. So kind of explain what's going on here, because I think as Bears fans trying to see if we can sneak a win, that kind of feels like where the door is kind of cracked with this Eagles team. These guys don't seem to be getting along, at least from the outside perspective. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, these are guys that were best friends. When the Eagles traded for A.J. Brown, I mean, Jalen Hurts is the godfather of one of A.J.'s children. Right? These are guys that had an established friendship before the trade was made. And, if you're just looking at it from the human side of it, it is sad to see that it's clearly not to that level. And I think that it's been something that has been compounding over the last couple of years. I don't know, all the reasons behind it, but clearly these guys, are not on the same page. And it's been something that has been festering over the last couple of years, despite the success that they've had both as a team and then individually for both. I think that the big thing that we're seeing now, and a lot of fans, you guys know how this goes, right? It's a big media market. It's the favorite team in the city. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of passion. So there's arguments on both sides. And when you have some stretches of a lack of success, which is funny considering the Eagles were the number 1 seed coming into this past week, this is still a team that has won a bunch of games. There has been so much discord with the dialogue around this team. And A.J. Brown has said stuff publicly. He has posted messages on social media. He has said stuff on videos with Twitch streamers, right? There's at every turn, it feels like every week it's there's something. Oh, there's another thing for them to talk about. Clearly, like offensively, and I mentioned earlier, so that there's something missing with this offense. Pass game is not consistent. There's no real identity. I think when you watch the Chicago Bears, like you can watch that offense and know like this is what they want to major in. You know, that they want to be super condensed formation. The run game is going to be a big part of it. They're going to do a lot of play action. You're going to see motions. It's going to be a lot of structured plays. The screen game is going to be a part of it. That is not the case when you watch this Eagles offense. There is nothing that you can point to and say, this is their bread and butter. So when when stuff hits the fan and they have a stretch where it's like, oh, they went 3 and out 2 or 3 times in a row, that's where you kind of scale everything back typically if you're a coach and say, all right, let's go with old reliable. Let's get back to basics. They don't have basics. They don't have anything that they can lean on and say, in the past, that's been the run game. And the run game has not been as good this year. They've had, Cam Jurgens is not the starting center, has not been healthy all year. He's been in and out of the lineup. Landon Dickerson started the year very, very hurt, still coming off of last year. Jordan Mailata came into the year banged up. We know about Lane Johnson's injury now. Tyler Steen is the new right guard. He's been average. He hasn't been great, hasn't been terrible, but he's been average. And you went from a Pro Bowl right guard in Mekhi Becton to Tyler Steen. So the offensive line has fallen off. That has led to issues with Saquon Barkley. He's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage at a much higher rate than he was a year ago. He's had a lot less room to be able to operate. I think he's pressing a little bit now, trying to go big play hunting. So I think all of these things are compounding on itself. The quarterback run game, not a part of the offense. You're not seeing Jalen Hurts using the design run game at all. They sprinkled it a little bit this past week against Dallas. I'll be interested to see if they continue to do that here against the Bears. But when you look at all of it, you strip it all down, you say, what does this team do well on offense? You don't have a good answer. And that's a tough way to live in 2025.
Well, let's flip to the other side then, because the Bears were, at least rumoredly, if you will, were in on Saquon, got too rich. He ended up with the Eagles. They ended up signing DeAndre Swift. Numbers-wise, the Bears are number 2 in the NFL running the football week in and week out to this point. The Bears will be able to run on the Eagles this week. What do you think?
I think that it's an Eagles defense that has really kind of come to life over the last few weeks and for a number of different reasons. Obviously, they trade for Jalen Phillips, and I think that has certainly helped that defensive front. But it's not just the Phillips addition. It's also the fact that Nolan Smith came back from injury. They brought back Brandon Graham outside of retirement. Guys are getting – Nakobe Dean came back into the lineup, and Nakobe Dean is playing at a very high level at the linebacker spot. So getting all of those guys literally at the same time off the bye week, I think that has really kind of transformed this unit. They've done an outstanding job. While the offense has been, tanking the last 3 weeks, the defense continues to really, really shine. And so any of the run game stuff, when you look at like their numbers and some of the issues they had early in the year, I don't know that you could necessarily apply it just to this game. I think when I've watched the Bears on film over the last few days, going back to last week, and I've been keeping an eye out over the course of the year, so much of it is perimeter. Like, let's get DeAndre Swift out into space. To me, like the Eagles, it's going to be really important for them to set really strong, firm edges. And with Jalix Hunt in as a starting outside linebacker, with Jahad Campbell sometimes flexing into that spot. Now you've got Jalen Phillips, who has been really forceful on the edge, and Nolan Smith. Guys, that's one of his best attributes. He is so violent at setting these edges and not letting runs get outside of him. That's going to be so important in this game. If they're able to set those strong edges on the perimeter, you're not letting DeAndre Swift get out the door. I think that would go a long way towards them being able to kind of limit and put a cap on this run game.
Well, it could turn into the Swift revenge game. So somebody put that in the chat there. You never know. Of course, he was an Eagle before he became a Bear after being a Lion. Go ahead, Gregory.
Certainly a strength versus strength situation, it looks like there. So we'll see the war of attrition, who wins that. But then when you look at the secondary for the Eagles, obviously Andrew Makuba is out for the year. And then have you gotten any indication on if Blankenship will be available on Friday? What's this secondary looking like for the Eagles?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think when you're looking at it, Makuba, obviously he's out. But I think when you're looking at Blankenship, Adoree Jackson left the game as well, the starting outside corner. What does that mean for the structure of the Eagles secondary? Sidney Brown came in relief of Makuba. And Sidney Brown struggled. And Vic Fangio has shown time and time again that he doesn't really want to get Sidney Brown into the football game. And I think that's an area where if with Makuba out, if he has his druthers, I wonder if Cooper DeJean ends up moving from slot to safety as long as Adoree Jackson's healthy. And so that puts Cooper DeJean at safety. Michael Carter, who they traded for at the deadline, he becomes the new nickel. And as long as Adoree Jackson's healthy, I think that's your core five. But it could be possible that, hey, we're going to keep DeJean in there. And maybe we try Sidney Brown. He's got a full week of practice. Let's see how he handles being the guy. He's just been such a volatile player. And you guys know Vic Fangio from when he was in Chicago. Like, he doesn't want guys that are inconsistent up and down. He wants guys that, like, they are assignment sound, that do their job, that are where they need to be, are really heady and really instinctive, and and know their job. And so that has not necessarily been Sidney Brown's forte since he's been here in Philly. So it's going to be interesting to see how they ultimately play that in the coming days.
Who do you like in that matchup, Ben and Caleb, or the Eagles defense and former Bear, one of my all-time favorites, Vic Fangio?
Yeah, I personally, I like Fangio in that one, only because when I look at Caleb, and I've really loved watching him over the course of this season. Obviously, it hasn't all been pretty, right? We know that he could spray. He's going to have some of those misses. But to me, watching what Ben Johnson has been able to do just in year one of getting him to play within structure and really eliminate those negative plays. The sack avoidance has been really impressive. He's cut down the interceptions. He's done such a nice job of cutting some of those plays down. And so the big thing when I'm watching Caleb is that, the average time to throw from like when they're forcing to hold on to the football, he holds on to the ball for a long time. And now he's done such a good job of avoiding those sacks. I don't think this is hey, let's cut the dogs loose on him and let's really pressure him. I think this is let's really change up the coverage looks and see if we can get him to make some mistakes, turn down some throws, question what he's seeing. I think it's that kind of performance. And honestly, when I look at this Eagles team, that's something they've been able to do at a high level. Now, are they able to do that without Reed Blankenship? Are they able to do that if you've got Sidney Brown and you've got Keely Ringo in the game instead of Adoree Jackson, and you're moving all these pieces around, and Michael Carter's only been on the team for 3 weeks? That's going to be the big thing to me in this game, is that secondary that Braggs asked about earlier. If they're not able to execute those assignments, they're not able to disguise it as well as you would like, what does that mean for the rest of the defense? That to me is the biggest factor going into this one.
I think you nailed it earlier with Jalen Hurts, and if they're going to do, and run, do designed runs and run the football outside of the pocket, I think that is something that the Eagles need to look at. If you look at the Bears against Tyler Huntley or Jackson Dart, or early in the season when Jaden Daniels was healthy, they've struggled with a few of these quarterbacks. To flip it on the other side, just looking at a few of the Eagles' losses, with Jackson Dart really giving the Eagles some problems running the football, do you kind of see this as an opportunity? Like, to me, if the Bears have any shot to win this game, Caleb Williams might have to take things into his own hands and get yards on his own account.
Yeah, that New York loss, you saw a lot of missed tackles, whether it was, trying to get Dart down in the backfield or whether it was guys out in the open field. And Makuba was guilty of a couple of those. He's missed some tackles, especially going back to the first half of the year. He's been a lot more sound down the stretch over these last few games, but obviously he is out now moving forward. And so, again, Sidney Brown, over the course of his 3 years so far in Philly, he is a very volatile player where he's going to come down, he's going to try and deliver a huge hit, and he might come in and just fly by the ball carrier. Like, Vic Fangio does not like that. So how is he going to play? To me, if he's got a one-on-one shot against Caleb Williams in the hole or against DeAndre Swift in the hole, that's going to be it's those kinds of plays that could spell doom here for this Eagles defense. And so, that has been an issue in the past. But to me, the tackling has been much, much better over these last few weeks. And honestly, when you look at that defense last year on their Super Bowl run, and they were one of the best tackling teams in football.